quickly move on to the next session. I have a couple of speakers here physically present, and one of them already joined virtually. This is a roundtable dialogue on the Association of Indo-Pacific Chambers of Commerce, which is called AIPCC. Now I need to speak about AIPCC a bit, which I will do, but first let me call upon the panelists. I have Mr. Indranil Sengupta, Chairman of India Business Chamber in Vietnam, INCHAM. He has come all the way from Hanoi, Vietnam. Mr. Sengupta, if you could please come up. Vietnam to Calcutta in this weather, he deserves a round of applause. Of course, Mr. Shubhadeep Ghosh, Director General, Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who has been spearheading this initiative from the Bengal Chamber. So, Mr. Ghosh, if you could please come up. And we have Mr. Vivek Jalan, Partner Tax Connect Advisory Services LLP, and also a member of our Economic Affairs Committee. We also have virtually Mr. Dato Ramesh Kodamal. He is the co-chair of ASEAN-India Business Council, AIBC of Malaysia, and chairman of Goldtex Group of Companies. So he is joining us virtually. Okay, as I mentioned, we need to give a bit of context. So last year in this very conclave, we launched this Association of Indo-Pacific Chambers of Commerce, wherein around 11 countries participated and seven chambers from across Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Vietnam, Malaysia were there, and we signed a charter and to take things forward. Then we met couple of times in between within the year, once in Bangkok in January and then once virtually later. And we discussed possible avenues how to take this forward. And so there was a discussion that we need to formalize this association, on which further dialogues will happen today. So this is primarily the context. Then I leave it to Mr. Vivek Jalan and the panelists to take it forward.
Thank you, Shambit. Good evening to all, and thank you to the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry for giving me this opportunity to moderate this session. We are starting where we should have ended, at the time where we should have ended. So of course, time is a constraint in this session, but we will kind of sum up and crystallize and come up to the final product, as Shambit has said, of this Indo-Pacific Conclave, which started last year, and we are into the second year. So this, as Shambit has said, has crystallized into AIPCC, Association of Indo-Pacific Chambers of Commerce, which saw the offshoots last year. And this year, over the last 1 year, we have from Bengal Chamber and other chambers, there has been some movement, even as WTO almost reaches 29 years. And over the last 29 years in WTO regime, and from 1947, we are seeing so many preferential trade agreements. A lot of them has been spoken about also. Speaking about preferential trade agreements, which we all know, and thereafter I'll come to AIPCC. So there are 4 kind of preferential trade agreements, right? One is on the FTA, the free trade agreement, which is for the tariffs rationalization. Then there is the customs union, which is tariffs rationalization plus a centralized economic tariff. Then there is a common market, which is tariff rationalization, a centralized economic tariff, plus movement of factors of production across the union. And last is the economic union. That is all these 3, plus integration of the political and the socio-economic environment also. So amongst these, we have seen so many PTAs over the last so many decades. We were speaking about ASEAN, right, where there are, in ASEAN plus 6, there are 12 countries now, and in the Indo-Pacific region, there are 14. So Indo-Pacific is ASEAN plus 2. And all of these free trade agreements, they have achieved their objective somewhat, right? Like the Mercosur, it helped Ecuador, flower trade. The ASEAN has helped the Malaysia, palm oil trade and rubber trade. So in this vein, there is a small step by BCCI to take these preferential trade agreements or free trade agreements further and to have a trade facilitation agreement between chambers of commerce where 11 chambers of commerce have come together, and today we are in the second leg, in the second year of this Indo-Pacific conclave, where we are discussing on how to further formalize this AIPCC, Association of Indo-Pacific Chambers of Commerce. And we already have our panelists over here. So I'll start from home. Not only charity, but even discussions can start from home. So we'll come to Shubhadeep. So Shubhadeep, if you can please explain the structure, membership and purpose of AIPCC. What were the objectives of AIPCC and what has happened over the last 1 year?
Thanks, Vivek. I'll be very brief. Actually, we kind of, about 1.5 years back, we started thinking from the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry that chambers of commerce in India do have a lot of, I would say, leverage to help out members. And most of the cases, especially if you're into the exim business, or you're traveling, or you are kind of wanting to set up a franchisee in a tech transfer or a tech agreement with any other entity across borders, we have found out that if you are a member of a chamber of commerce, it helps you to kind of sort of make that connect, find out markets. Also, even in case you're you need any kind of assistance regarding setting up your business or going for a collaboration, it helps if you're a member of a chamber, in the sense that the chamber can actually help you out in connecting with the government, in connecting the dots, and basically in the last mile connectivity in your business application. So we decided that at the end of the day, as a chamber of commerce, since we are doing that service to industry in any case here by sort of giving out certificates of origin or recommending visas to traveling businessmen, why not try and create something on the ground whereby we can actually have a partnership with a chamber of commerce in another country, which is with which this part of the world has a lot of connect, historical, traditional, business, and which is kind of opening up the trade scope for India in the last let's say 2 decades or so. And then we thought that let's sort of start off by having a dialogue with similar like-minded organizations. And interestingly, we didn't only think about chambers of commerce. We thought about also agencies like, let's say, I'll take the names, like for instance Kotra or Jetro or Titra, who are in a similar role, but one way. So they will probably be focused on exports into one country and not the other way around. But even then, that would help us a lot to get to know other businesses. So the objective was basically to create a platform, a common platform for the common membership of all these chambers of commerce, and try and sort of help them in their businesses. So last September, slightly before last September, maybe we reached out to all these chambers and associations, and about 7 chambers of commerce came forward, 6 to 7 chambers of commerce came forward from the ASEAN region. We also reached out to the Consulate General of various countries, the embassies of various countries, and we had the first meeting last September, whereby we had decided, we came together with these chambers of commerce and we decided that we will try and create a network of chambers of commerce in the Indo-Pacific region, and that's how we started. Since then we have had, I think the President mentioned in his opening remarks, since then we have had another meeting in Bangkok earlier this year. We had our, we were organizing an entrepreneur summit in Bangkok. and thereby, thereafter it was decided that, we need to formalize it. How, of course, that we will discuss today. We have some game plan in mind and some, sort of milestone set for us also. I hope, Vivek, I have covered your, questions.
Right, yeah. So leveraging the power of chambers of commerce. Okay, I'll come to Mr. Sengupta, Mr. Indranil Sengupta. Mr. Sengupta, recently there was an event in Vietnam which was not under the aegis of AIPCC, but it was a fallout of AIPCC. So if you could throw some light on the achievements of the events towards meeting the objectives of the cooperation of AIPCC members.
Yeah, it was, I mean, actually, BCC, I should say, how good or bad it was, because we were trying to facilitate the meetings and the objectives. It was about an education delegation, and many meetings, bilateral meetings with the Vietnamese counterpart were organized by INCHAM in Vietnam, and also I think 4 MOUs were signed, four, two in Ho Chi Minh. Yeah. So yeah, 6 MOUs were signed, and it was quite a crisp and short visit, but I believe it was quite effective in terms of the participation, the delegates who participated, and we hope to have more visits, bilateral visits like this. Next one we can plan is about the healthcare sector. One of the things which happened as a result of what we started this journey a year back is, these things have started happening. And similarly, the session which we had in Bangkok with support from the Thai Chamber was also quite good on the entrepreneurship thing, which I also had attended. Now, if we see what we have done in last 1 year, I think where we are probably lacking a little bit is formalization of this whole concept, because if it is not very formal, then I think that some of the interested chambers are not yet putting their full weight in. We would like to discuss today how we formalize it, and I know Dato is there. I wish Dato you were here. You look very sleepy, and it's past your dinner time. And Dato has his experience because he is the one who formed this ASEAN India Business Council, where both the ASEAN Secretariat as well as Government of India are the interested parties. So maybe Dato also can throw some light on how do we formalize it quickly. I know we spoke briefly about it last time, but now let's move forward.
Yeah, so of course formalization, certainly, that is what we are here for, speaking. We'll come to Dato Ramesh Kodamal. So if you could throw some light, Dato, on the hinds, how do you see AIPCC fitting into this ASEAN framework or ASEAN +6 framework now, especially for Malaysia, and from the Malaysia and India cooperation and Malaysia and other chambers cooperation point of view?
Thank you. A very good evening to all my dear friends who are there. You all are still in the evening and we are already passing our dinner time, as Sengupta just said. I hope you all can hear me. Am I all right?
Yeah, you
can you all hear me? Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for really taking this initiative to move forward with this Indo-Pacific and Conclave. A brilliant idea, and I think you see in today's world, the geopolitical situation, you might try to understand what is happening. Everyone is trying to move forward, to link with someone, to hold hands and move forward. RCEP has been formed, Quads have been formed. There are so many various areas where countries are forming. You have BRICS being formed. So let's ask ourselves why. A common reason is that we need to get together, we need to hold hands, we need to move forward and actually expand our economic relationship with countries in the region. And Indo-Pacific is definitely a very good platform where we can tap on. And it's going to give us an opportunity moving forward on how we can work on this. The important thing is, having spoken of a platform is a good idea. Moving forward on how we get it registered and how we get our counterparts all around Asia Pacific to be linked with us, that is very important. No chamber, no government is coming to support you if you are not a registered organization. If you don't have a mandate. A mandate is very important. We can create platforms, but how much of support we have from our own government. Since you all are in India, the Indian government, your trade ministry must support you all for this platform. Then you can get it registered. Then you can invite 2 members from every Indo-Pacific country to become in the council and start working with them to link with all the chambers in these areas, which is going to benefit the business community. The most affected group in all businesses today are the SMEs. There's no doubt about it. We can speak, we can talk of GLCs, we can talk of PLCs, but GLCs and PLCs already have found their way moving forward. The SMEs are finding their way forward, and all chambers must support this platform because these are the seeds of growth. Without SMEs, you can't have the future growing. To help the future growing, you must support the roots. You must support the seeds. The seeds are actually considered SMEs. And when they grow, they need support. And who supports them? They can't go and knock the door at the government to support them. They need advice. They need mentorship. They need connection. And this is where we come in to set up this platform, to link with countries, to get them moving, and to tell them these are the opportunities available in this region. And having said that, we also can use our power to tell the government that this is what is required in this region and how do we move forward with our connections. This is my advice. I'm very sure we are going to move forward. There's no looking backward. Every step which we take is taking us to further progress. And I wish BCCI every success. I have been the co-chair for ASEAN India Business Council for 10 years, and now I've moved on to the ASEAN Economic Council. We must always keep on moving, we improve ourselves, grow ourselves to the next level. I think this is the first step which we are taking, and the roots have been put in for this platform. Let's meet again every quarterly or every half yearly, the committee which wants to set this up, inject the ideas, get some legal people to work on the constitution, to work on the registration, and to work on how we can get this platform moving. That's my advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato. I mean, you're hearing claps, and because you have, touched upon so many points. And Mr. Sengupta, I'll come to you first, then to Shubhadeep on the various points which Dato has raised. And you have also raised on formalization, registration. So when we speak about registration of AIPCC, it has to be in one of these countries. So which country it can be? Second is the mandate of AIPCC. What would be the mandate and what is the expected mandate? And how, as Shubhadeep has said, on the hand-holding of the SMEs, how AIPCC can hand-hold the SMEs?
I think last time we had decided the country of registration will be India, and the mandate will flow out from the charter, which has already been agreed by the participating chambers. So I don't see an issue with that, but the main thing is that we need to get it registered. And regarding the SMEs, Dato and me, we are on the same page for many years. The job of a chamber or primary responsibility for any business chamber should be to promote the SMEs, because as they do not have enough either relationship or financial bandwidth to to get things done, and which is expected from a SME point of view, and that's where a business chamber can put in their weight and influence to facilitate the setting up of the businesses. And why this network, and why in fact we all of us who are participating are quite motivated by this whole concept is, if we have this network, then in the cross-border investments, especially from the MSME part, probably it gets a platform for facilitation and enablement. So, and like we, as you know, we all and we echoed the same concept that MSMEs are the backbone of an economy in terms of employment generation. So we absolutely we should put it as a top priority, and for from my experience, I've seen there are potential. Let's take the case of Vietnam. Vietnam is like a paradise for MSMEs because of certain government policies they have been following for the last 20 years, which includes being a signatory to maximum number of FTAs in that region, or the whole concept of industrial parks. They have developed like almost 1,000 of them, which is a plug and play. But why we don't see enough MSMEs from India? You have MSMEs from Japan, you have lots of MSMEs from Korea, you have lots of MSMEs from other countries, but we don't see MSMEs yet from India. It's because they do not know how to charter themselves, in those unknown territories. And I just gave you an example in Vietnam, but this is like, it can be for Malaysia, it can be for Taiwan, it can be for Japan. So that is the handholding an MSME would require to venture out into new geographies.
Yeah, and of course the most important thing Dato has said is MSMEs need connection. So when you're going to Vietnam, from India, you need a connection, you need a friend in Vietnam, you need a friend in Malaysia, which maybe AIPCC can, assist in. But Shubhadeep, I'll come to you. As Mr. Sengupta has said, that if registration has to happen, it has to happen in India. And in India, if registration has to happen, there are various, legal entities. One of them is a Section 8 company with non-profit organization. One of them can be a trust, but Section 8 company would be a better way, because that is how any chamber of commerce is there. But along with that, there has to be accounts, there has to be a legal compliance, there has to be board meetings. Before board meeting, there has to be a managing committee of AIPCC. So, I mean, how do you see taking this forward?
Actually, Vivek, good question, and I completely am with you, Mr. Sengupta, and with Dato Ramesh on your observations. Quickly, so when we started off with the first meeting, we created a charter, and we had actually agreed, all of us, in principle, about about basically the direction that this entity is going to take. And the charter was a very detailed charter, in the sense that it had a mission statement, it had its scope laid out, it had its KPIs and KRAs and even finances. And the whole idea was that to be as democratic as you can be in this kind of network, And then at the same time, the idea was that it should not be a binding, sort of partnership. It should be non-binding in nature. Then we decided that, see, it will not work, as Zator very correctly said, unless and until it is, formally registered and it is recognized. And to this end, we have already started dialogue, and I can, share with you here that we have started dialogue with, various levels of the government here in India, and we have, kept them informed as to what we are doing. The first, step will be to, formalize this as an entity. As Vivek said, yes, Section 8 company is a very, very, distinct possibility. It can also be a society. There are chambers of commerce here in India which are registered as societies. We'll just see, which suits our purpose best. For your information, the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a Section 8 company. And in Section 8 companies, you can also have, foreign overseas nationals as directors on board. So we have actually, kind of laid down the steps, Dato, as to what is required, to go through the process, and we will shortly share with you that, step which we shall be taking at our end, because we'll be registering the entity in India. And, then, similarly, we'll have to do the same thing for all the participating, chambers of commerce. Now, what I, see is that only once that is done, will, we have any kind of acknowledgement from the government, because, the government acknowledgement will come after the body is a recognized legal entity. So we do have a timeline for that, and hopefully that in the next, year's time, we should be, up and running. But very interesting point for me, and very encouraging point for me also, is that an immediate fallout of whatever we, talked about in the last couple of meetings was this Vietnam delegation that we could do. From, our end, when we decided that there's a demand from, private universities to go to Vietnam for, various levels of, partnerships and, memorandum of agreements, we kind of reached out to Indo-Vietnam, INCHAM, and that was basically because of the fact that we, had, kind of agreed in principle to work together, and that's how it happened. Otherwise, it would have kind of, we would have gone round in circles, and we had 20 plus people going from, I think, 7 or 8, very reputed, private universities here. We even had government, universities who were supposed to participate. So this came out within a few months of our last engagement, and I'm very hopeful that this MSME integration into the value chain will also, follow suit. We do have some platforms where we, do the MSME integration from Bengal Chamber of Commerce. Maybe at the next meeting, we can talk about how we can actually share our knowledge of, MSMEs working together across borders, and what the models can be of cooperation. We can, bring that to the table and share with you, and also, talk about the next steps for, the registration. Registration should be done. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Can I say something here?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. I think we are moving on the right track. What I would like to suggest to the Bengal Chamber of Commerce is, please write to 10 chambers in the Indo-Pacific region, US, Australia, because you all have got a good standing of your past history as a Chamber of Commerce, telling them that this is what you all are initiating, and this is what the progress is going to be in the future, and this is what you all can see what's happening in the world to link businesses together. We would like to need your support. And definitely these chambers are going to write back to you supporting. Use this support letters. Take it to your ministry and tell them we have got the support from all these chambers. They are requesting us to form this platform and start moving on that level. It becomes more easier that you have got a request from the Indo-Pacific countries requesting you or supporting you to form something. So that makes sense for my way of looking at things.
Sure. We'll have to expand the horizons in any case, apart from the 6 who are already with us. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I may add, while we are in the process of formalizing, it is also necessary that we must hold the interest of the participating chamber. For example, today you see you do not have the original 7. So can we think of starting a newsletter where we share experiences like, even a bilateral delegation visits and all, so which can sort of exhibit some value to the other interested or participating chambers in the interim period before we formalize it. And for formalizing, I think we should have, my own idea is, we should have very definitive timelines and for each step, because otherwise we do not want a situation again next year we are discussing the same. We should take some very concrete step before the end of this year, which should become a irreversible process.
I think on that note, you can start using the newsletter of BCCI, 2 pages or 3 pages, or what you are doing here on their letter, newsletter which they have to promote this platform, because they are leading it. That's logical, there's no issue. But you cannot set up your own newsletter before registering it. It won't look good. But on BCCI, we can use it because they are trying to be the founders of it. We support them. Yeah.
Yeah, one point which comes out also, of course, the engagement with the ministry and government in India. But one more point over here, and that is the last point which we can take. Thereafter, we can throw the house open for the question and answers. I'm sure audience would have a lot of questions and time is running out. The point here is also engagement with the other governments of the other chambers of commerce, number one. And number two is the directors. As I said, we have to form a managing committee of AIPCC, and directors from other chambers of commerce, they have to be appointed as a director or as a managing committee member. So even keep engaging with your governments and keeping your governments informed.
That is actually very necessary.
You don't form a management committee, you call it a pro-time committee till you get the proper committee coming in. A pro-time committee with all those members down there. So that's already a committee working towards the registration.
Yeah. I mean, even if that committee has to be there, but there have to be members from all the participating chambers of commerce.
No, that is very easy. So once you write to all these chambers, and you have to tell them that please nominate your whoever will be there, and it has to be backed up by a board resolution of that particular chamber. It's as simple as that. So
absolutely, yeah. Okay, so I think in case any of the panelists has any other point, or we throw the house open to questions and answers. Okay, so we can have some questions in case the audience would like, or we are already at 7 p.m. India time, and no, so I think everybody is waiting for going home or for the dinner. So thank you very much, panelists. Thank you to audience for attending. Thank you, Dato, for attending from Malaysia. Thank you very much. Over to Shombit.
Memento to give away to Mr. Indranil Sengupta. So, Mr. Jalan, if you could kindly do the honors. Okay. Thank you. We can have a picture together. Dato unfortunately misses out.